Welcome back to the Revisionist Almanac. Once again, part of the Movie Archer podcast network. Check everything out over at moviearcher.com. So we're here right now because 28 years later, The Bone Temple comes out this week. We're going to look back at the career of one of our greatest living actors, and to some people out there, he's an Oscar winner. He's been nominated officially 3 times for an Oscar: Schindler's List, The English Patient, and Conclave. He's been BAFTA nominated 7 times, with one win being for Schindler's List. In the canon of this show, he's competed in a revised category once, and he lost that battle. 1996's episode in season 1, when Britt from 1001 picked him in lead actor for The English Patient, but he ultimately lost to Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire. And then I have personally nominated him 1 time through 25 different episodes. I gave him a lead actor nomination for The Grand Budapest Hotel in 2014, but I much preferred Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler that year, who did end up going on to win it all. I'll take the eye roll all you want there, Heather. Okay, let's talk about the man, though, Rafe. So what we did was we each made our own top 10, and then what we did was we reviewed those and saw what overlapped, and we put them together, and we've created this composite list of the 10 best performances of Ralph Fiennes. Now, before we get into our top 10, we each have one honorable mention that ended up, it's kind of funny how it ended up that way, but in our top 10, each of us had one movie that didn't really overlap with anyone else, so we can quickly talk to them. Amanda, what was the one film that did not overlap that you had as an honorable mention for your Ralph Fiennes list?
Mine was The Prince of Egypt. I feel like in the essence of your show, we need to be calling out his exceptional voice performance. I watched it last night just to remember, like, this is still just as good. He sings a lot less than I thought, but he still sings.
It's been a minute since I've seen it. Which character does he even play?
He's Ramses.
Okay.
So he's in the beginning and he's in the end, but you don't see much of him. I thought he was in a lot more than he actually was, but still memorable.
He's got a few notable voice acting performances in Lego Batman, and then Kubo
Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit, Kubo. He's done a few things, so definitely one of our good voice acting performers out there. My honorable mention was a film that I don't think Amanda was able to get to in her cram session over the last week. I don't know if Heather's seen it either. It's 1995's Strange Days. It's a really cool Catherine Bigelow sci-fi film that came out just a few years before The Matrix. It's got Angela Bassett, Juliette Lewis, Tom Sizemore. It's got Vincent D'Onofrio. I would recommend checking out if you're into sci-fi in that period just before The Matrix, when everything kind of changed. This movie, along with Dark City, which is another film from 1998, go check those out if you're into sci-fi stuff. But Rafe is definitely front and center, and it's a completely different role than anything else he was doing in that pocket of time, especially because it came right on the heels of the English Patient, basically. Or no, right before The English Patient, pardon me. Heather, what is your honorable mention that you wanted to shout out?
Well, my one is the kind of precursor for the upcoming one. Mine is 28 years later. I think he is... The film is good up to that point, but then when he enters, he just takes it all over, and he is... You don't watch trailers, Andrew? Amanda, I don't know if you watch trailers, but if you had seen the trailer for 28 years later, the way he was portrayed in that, you're like, oh, he's going to be the villain. He's going to be something, really evil about him. And he is the heart of that film. He is so compassionate towards the infected, towards the, real people. And yeah. So
what excites me about that performance is I expect, obviously we're recording this a couple weeks before the new film comes out, or the week before the film comes out, this will drop, but I have to assume he's going to be significantly more prominent in this film than the previous. And considering how good he was in 28 years later, I would have to assume if we were to revisit this list a year or so from now, The Bone Temple could probably find its way in the mix here, because I'm expecting big things from Ralph Fiennes. Nia DaCosta gets really good performances out of actors, so I think that's going to go well. Now, I based my top 10 totally off of vibes. I did not go back and rewatch anything. I'm just living off of memory headspace here. Heather, did you do any sort of rewatches in the lead up to this top 10 to kind of solidify things, or were you also just kind of going off vibes?
I watched Spider for the first time. That was because that had come up a little bit with the poll that we put out in the socials to people to kind of give input. So I was like, oh, maybe I should catch that one. Yeah.
What'd you think of Spider?
It was fine. He was very good.
Okay. I'll pull out a quick bit of feedback on Spider. So one person that reached out, Get Ratified, over on Instagram, said that movie felt like a more real depiction of schizophrenia than A Beautiful Mind. I would agree with that. It's a Cronenberg film, so you have to be in that kind of headspace for that type of movie. But yeah, he's really good in it. Amanda, you, on the other hand, have gone crazy, as your Letterboxd has already shown this week. How many movies did you try to like squeeze into condensed for this?
Ooh, I didn't even count them. It was probably between like 6 and 8, I think. Thankfully, I've had the whole week off since Christmas, and so like this is what I've been doing all the week. I did not revisit any of the ones I had already seen. So, well, besides The Prince of Egypt, but that was just for fun. But
do you feel like you checked off all the big ones? Like you're pretty confident that you got to the majority of them?
It sounded like it. It feels like it, especially looking at his letterbox. I'm like, there's a lot in here that I don't have time for. and I felt kind of weird because I'd like watch one and I immediately throw it on the list. I'm like, do I need to be giving this a little more time to settle? But we don't have time for that.
I'm pretty happy with our top 10 that we've come up with collectively on this. And when we get to the end, I've got a little bit of a thing to show how the breakdown is by decade that I think will show the greatness of Rafe from the start of his career, continuing on to right now. But let's get into the list. So at number 10 on the Ralph Fiennes top 10 list, Amanda, why don't you tell us what that number 10 film is?
Okay, sorry, I have to pull it back up, make sure that I'm not doing this wrong. Okay, yes.
Don't screw us up.
The English Patient.
Okay, so...
was that his second nomination?
Yes.
Not my favorite Best Picture winner. It's a fine Best Picture winner, but he does a great job. He spends about half of it in a bed, but the other half, since it's a pretty long movie, he's just as good as always. So I have no complaints with that one.
Now, Heather, I'll let you... I know you want to speak to The English Patient because I know this movie is a very important film for you and your love of Ralph Fiennes.
Very important.
Originally, this was like just on the bubble of not making it, but we felt compelled. We had to put it on there, if nothing else, for the sheer attractiveness of the man who is on the cover of this film.
No, seriously. You did... And I've said this, and I have gone on record, and I saying this... I think that cover and generally The English Patient before he gets in the accent, and I also have to keep stressing this, I genuinely don't know if anybody's looked better on film. Like, completely objectively.
I could just like...
objectively.
Yeah, look at
that. I mean, look at him. I mean, honestly.
See, that haircut, since I've watched about 1,000 of his movies, not my favorite of his. He still looks great, but I like him with his longer hair. So
yeah, there's another one. I had the VHS because I'm old, and I think this is slightly different. I think it's slightly more floppy, the hair.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah. So I was just so my English Patient inclusion, quite frankly. I mean, first of all, he did get Oscar nom, so there is some justification to the whole thing. But I was like, I think we need to acknowledge this monumental point of his career with putting it in the top 10. And yeah. I'm not even talking about the performance. I mean, anyway, whatever.
He's very good in The English Patient. I did the 96 Almanac in season 1 of the show, and my memory of that at the time is Juliette Binoche and Kristen Scott Thomas definitely carry that film to me. But just the cast list is wonderful in that movie. It's a very good film. It's not the best movie of 1996, but it deserves a place on the list. No doubt about it. Okay, so Heather, what's our number 9 movie that we have on the Ralph Fiennes top 10?
Our number 9 film is A Bigger Splash.
It indeed is. What's your memory of Luca Guadagnino's? You're obviously the Luca head amongst the three of us.
Yeah, I mean, your note that you sent me when you were like thing was like Ralph letting all hang out, which fair.
Yes, he does.
Let's not talk about that though, because actually, is this one of the first times that he just went really crazy, like on film? I'm trying to think, because obviously, I mean, Mandy will be definitely in this boat, but you kind of forget when certain films were in his filmology, and but this was, I mean, I only watched this very recently for 2016 Almanac prep. So, and it was insane. I mean, he's just, he leaves the film halfway through, spoiler. But his energy that he brings, the dance scene obviously is the iconic one, but also just like some of his line deliveries, particular scene with the supermarket where he makes a comment about Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, and every kind of like looks. I mean, he's just so flamboyant and so memorable, and he's just so different to other performances that he's had. And yeah, I'm generally very high on that film, but he is 100% the best part of it, and it's not really close. And that's even with a Tilda Swinton in there, who I, was not so. She's great, but this is not. It didn't feel like the kind of role for her. So he is, he's fabulous.
This was also a movie I saw for the first time when we did the 2016 Almanac, and it took me by surprise because I was not expecting the energy of the film and the way it just didn't feel like the other Luca films that I had seen to that point in time. And it was definitely a more outside the box Ralph Fiennes performance. We have a couple others on here, specifically the one we have coming up next. It's a little bit different than some of his more prototypical performances. But Amanda, you've only recently seen this movie this week, I believe. What was your A Bigger Splash experience like?
I had a great time with it. Just with him. I mean, everybody else was fine, and the plot itself was okay, but I could watch him do everything he's doing in that film all day long.
And he was doing a lot.
And he was doing a lot.
He was doing a lot, yes. And as I think, Heather, you mentioned this, he's definitely advocating for equality in full frontal nudity.
Yes.
So good for
yes,
you, Ralph.
Good for Ralph.
Yeah. If the women have to do it, the men have to do it as well.
Exactly. All for equality here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So up to number 8, we have, which is, honestly, I forget that he's in this movie just because the other 2 actors that really lead this film are so prevalent. But we're talking about Martin McDonagh's 2008 film In Bruges, which of course stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. He's got a smaller role here, but it's very memorable. I haven't gone back to revisit this movie that recently, but I do love Martin McDonagh's films. I think it had to have a place on the list, even though it's a significantly smaller role than some of his lead stuff. What are your takeaways from In Bruges, Amanda? What do you think about this film?
His role is a lot smaller than I would have liked. I mean, he does spend a lot. He spends like half of the performance just on the phone, and you just hear him, and you're just like waiting for him to show up because you know he's coming. But it was good. He's running around. He's having a great time.
Heather, what's your relationship with In Bruges?
I don't know what you mean. The only thing I remember is Ralph. And that's why I put it on my list. Because when I was whittling down from, kind of at 15, that I was like, okay, these are the ones that come in contention for me. When I was selecting supporting performances, I was like, well, where are the films that he is the one thing that I mainly remember? And of course, A Bigger Splash, you can argue whether it's lead or supporting, whatever. But In Bruges, I was like, oh, In Bruges, that's the film. And it wasn't anything about, I knew Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson were in it. But to me, In Bruges, I was like, oh, that's the film where Ralph Fiennes like swears and says the F word like 25 times a minute. And I'm like, well, for that reason, it's clearly lodged somewhere in my memory. So he was great. I knew that yeah.
It kind of reminds me of, if you haven't seen the film Sexy Beast, Ben Kingsley sort of does the same role where he's in it a very short period of time, but he's so explosive and his language is so all over the place that you're like, wow, he captivates you in that role. Okay. Up to number 7 now. I cannot wait to hear Amanda's thoughts on this film in specific. What do we have at number 7, Amanda?
At number 7, we have from 2005, The Constant Gardener. I get why they named it that. It's a plot point. However, he needs to do more gardening. If you're going to call it The Constant Gardener, he waters like 5 plants. No, ridiculous. This one, it's really annoying to think like he's putting out a fantastic performance, and I say, but is it his best? Probably not, but it's fantastic nonetheless. It's ridiculous. But the thing that I took away most, because I just watched this yesterday, is what he's doing the best is everything he's doing with Rachel Weisz, because they have an insane amount of chemistry, and I just can't stop watching them.
I think we texted about it at one point when you were watching it, and I was just like, Rachel Weisz and him together, it's like they're almost too hot. It's almost, there's too much going on with those two.
Ridiculously attractive people.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. And I think, because I texted you because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry about something, because he's putting, just like the flashback half of it, he's putting so much into it that I'm like, I feel so much for this man that needs to do more gardening. But
and she was the one that got the flowers for it with the Oscar one.
Exactly.
Flowers. Oh my God.
I thought that was an intended pun.
Do that.
He did the gardening and she got the reward of the flowers. Amazing. We're gonna have fun, the three of us. I can tell. What Heather? Where do you stand on the Constant Gardener, Heather? I can't remember where you had it on your list.
I had it on my list.
You had it at 8. You had it at 8.
There you go. I had it on my list. I knew I had it on my list. Yeah, I mean, he's great. He's always great. He's very constant in this and very consistent and dependable, and exactly what you said, Amanda. He's just really, really good in it. But you kind of take it for granted. It's really not a massive, massive role, but I don't even really know what to say about it. I knew I had to put it on there because he's just really good in it. But as I say, it's a while ago since I watched it. But I think it got overshadowed a bit by her and her win. And sadly, because he's also great, as always.
Now, I will admit, again, I'm going totally vibes here. I did not adjust my list at all from what I have on a Letterboxd top 10. I put this at 4, but as I'm looking at what I have at 5, 6, 7, I feel like if I revisited them all, it would probably slot a little bit lower, closer to this number 7 spot. Just because, again, this is another performance, and maybe I'm starting to discover through doing this list, Rafe does a really good job of letting whatever actress is counterpoint to him being the star and having their moment. And Rachel Weisz is what I remember so much from this film, as much as he is a dominant force on it as well. So I enjoy it. It's not my favorite film by Fernando Meirelles, who's done City of God and significantly more interesting things, but good movie. No complaints there. Okay, we're getting to the real, we're at the heavy hitters. Number 6, Heather, I know you can't wait to talk about the number 6 movie.
But you must take a side. It's a war.
What do we got at number 6?
Conclave.
Of course.
Yeah.
Edward Berger, your
finally,
favorite.
Another Oscar nomination. Because, my man's been snubbed a few times. He's just great in this. It's a very kind of subdued performance. I think that's why everybody agreed last year he was in clearly at 5, obviously. But I'm struggling to think of people that I know that had him at 1. I mean, even I didn't have him at 1. But there's so much more to that performance, I think, than people realize. His kind of, his quiet dignity, his, the looks that he's giving other people, how he's reacting to others. He's just said this, Andrew, he's a very generous screen partner. So he is in a lot of the scenes, but he's rarely really the main focus, although he is the one perhaps driving the narrative, whether he goes in to talk to the other priest, etc., and say, oh, we've got a problem here, you might have to leave. He's more focused on him and then praying together, etc. So he is the lead, but he's not often the actual lead in the particular scene that he is always in, if that kind of makes sense. I think I know what I'm trying to say. So whether it's like he's in a scene with, Stanley Tucci or whatever, it's often more focused on that slightly bigger performance that is in that scene with him, which means it's easy to underestimate. Again, back to the Constant Gardener, it's easy to underestimate what he is doing. So yeah, there we go. But he is fabulous in the role, and just so stoic, which is what you need. That is what that role is asking for. I mean, let's compare A Bigger Splash and Conclave. I mean, are there two bigger differences in performance there to show the man's range? Right?
And to your point about Leo earlier on the previous episode that we've recorded, you had sort of mentioned Leo's kind of taken for granted because he's just always putting out great performances. And I feel like Rafe's in that same boat where a lot of the feedback we were getting was he's fantastic in everything. How do you even make a top 10? He's always great. And that's kind of the curse of Conclave for him, is he's so good in it. And, he's so generous with giving John Lithgow his opportunities to shine. and giving all of the other characters their chance to shine. But it's really the stuff that Rafe does without saying anything. It's his nonverbal language, body language that he gives off in this film that really, I think, carries the film and keeps you as an audience member kind of trying, you're sort of like trying to go along with him, and he allows you to sort of like see through his eyes in a really strong way. I love what he does in Conclave. Amanda, what do you think of Conclave?
I unfortunately have not revisited it since last award season, but I loved it. I think the ensemble as a whole felt just as strong as him, if I remember correctly. So I think I love the whole thing because of everyone in it. But yeah, he's doing a great job as ever.
Okay, we're up to the top half now. So at number 5 on the Ralph Fiennes top 10, I'm excited to talk about this movie because this might be one of the earlier Ralph Fiennes movies I've seen as an adult, because it came out in 2002, and so I was like a teenager at that point in time, and that is Red Dragon, which is the prequel to The Silence of the Lambs, directed by Brett Ratner, which I completely forgot about, and I don't want to talk about Brett Ratner at all, but there's a transformation, pun very much intended, in the character, but the way he uses his body reminds me so much of James McAvoy in Split, where he's sort of like, he can change his the way he moves his back, the way he changes how he arches, how he stands, his posture is frightening in Red Dragon, and he is such a prevalent force in that film. And yeah, he just has really great chemistry with Emily Watson, I believe, is the woman acting alongside him. I love what he does in Red Dragon. He's very memorable. Amanda, I know you just recently watched this film. What did you think of Red Dragon?
I, as a big Silence of the Lambs person, I was surprised I hadn't seen this one, and I loved it. It was one of those I had to like sit with and say, you don't need to put that at like number 1 of his. You can settle down. But even like, he is obviously the villain, but you're also falling in love with him because he's trying so hard. Like, you can feel what he's feeling. It's a whole thing. It's kind of sad.
The scene when he's in the museum eating the paper, I was like, oh my gosh, I really feel for this guy. Yes. Yeah. Heather, what about you? Red Dragon? Where do you stand?
This forever.
Okay.
And I'd forgotten this one off my top 10. Remember? We were having this like, and then you were like, in the group chat, you were like, why do you hate Red Dragon? And I'm like, oh shit, wait, hang on, I knew I'd forgotten something. And then I was like, no, I kind of have to put this in, because it is transformative, as you say. Another example of his range. Here we go. And a question, is this his kind of like, what's the word? Not prequel. This is like the what's the word? Application for the role of Voldemort, maybe? You know, kind of that evil persona, but somehow you're still kind of drawn to him. Although I would argue it's a little bit sadder than Voldemort. But I mean, Voldemort also had a sad childhood, you know, orphan, etc., and all this kind of thing. So I don't know. I kind of almost see the two roles a little bit linked, weirdly.
But I've got the timeline of his career here, and he does do Voldemort 3 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He pops up in Goblet of Fire, the fourth one. Yeah.
What's funny though is if you look at 2002, he does Spider, which we already talked about. He does Red Dragon, and then I don't know if he filmed these in sequence, but then he immediately does Made in Manhattan, which almost feels like the palate cleanser for just going down Spider and Red Dragon.
It might still come up.
How crazy is that for 2002? Red Dragon, Made in Manhattan, same year. That's
Man
wild.
Was going through it.
Okay, we are up to the Mount Rushmore places now in the top 4. So Amanda, what is our number 4 Ralph Fiennes performance?
Our number 4 is Quiz Show, one that I would probably consider, just because I had never heard of it and I watched it like for the first time in the summer. It feels kind of like an underrated performance of his, and maybe that's just coming from me because I had never heard of it, but it's his first leading performance right after Schindler's List, and it's his range, and he's internalizing a lot of conflict because a lot of that is just in his eyes. It's how he's feeling. Sorry, this cat's in my lap.
Cameo number 2.
Yeah. But I don't have a ton to say about it. He does a great job.
It's Heather. I'll ask you what you think about it, but it's definitely the curse of '94. He just got caught in that year was we know what that year is, but yeah, the quiz show just gets lost in the mix of the top film in IMDb and the Quentin Tarantino and the Forrest Gump of it all. But yeah, what do you think of quiz show? Like, how do you, obviously '94 is a pretty important year for you with your favorite film of all time in that year. How do you how much do you revere quiz show and what he does in it?
It's number 2 for me that year. Sorry, Tarantino heads. So yes, you alluded. Shawshank is my favorite film of all time. I saw Quiz Show before Shawshank because literally nobody saw Shawshank in cinemas, and I saw Quiz Show in cinemas, and I'm convinced it was the Ralph. Sorry, Ralph Fiennes. Sorry, one slip of the name. Yeah, right. You can call him Ralph Fiennes for so long. Anyway, Ralph Fiennes. Yes, it was the whole follow up, as you say, the follow up to Schindler's of it all. Yeah, this just sounded really interesting. Robert Redford directing, the whole premise of it was something that appealed to me. So I'm like, right, I'm going to go see this. And generally at that age in 1994, that's what you did. You went to the cinema. There wasn't that huge amount else to do. Yeah, and I'm trying to think how many times I've seen it since, but it is something that I've always remembered fondly. And I know that when you discuss 1994, it's the one that everybody says they haven't seen or the fewest people have seen. It's not as negative as sometimes when people talk about Four Weddings, which people are like, how did that get into best picture in that year? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know. I really enjoy Four Weddings. So that whole year though is tremendous, and it does get lost in the mix. So, and again, it was his first leading man kind of performance, but we have Wuthering Heights, but that's fine. And I think it's kind of you can kind of see from that point is it how he can go so internal with his performances, and what you were saying as well with kind of with the eyes and what he's going through, but it's very understated. And this is also something that we see consistently throughout his career. So if you're watching his filmography in order, it would just be really interesting to kind of see what parts of his talent he's unleashing when. But I think it's all there from the beginning. I mean, even with the Wuthering Heights, you have that, then you have Schindler's, then you have this, and then we have English Patient, and there's just so much range from the very beginning. It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, Heather, you now get to take us to number 3, which might be our most, I don't know, I feel like there could be some controversy around the prominence of this movie's placement.
Right. So this is where I think we haven't really clarified this yet. We have to clarify, no matter if you come for us or not, this is us ranking Ralph performances, okay? Because I know that the film we're about to mention it's got its people who love it, me, and it's got a lot of people that really don't like it or are midden it or just don't get the whole hype. Right. That is to say, we're now going to talk about the menu. Now, you can think what you like about the menu, but sorry, I mean, it's just really hard for me I don't want to say you cannot deny. I'm sure there are people who can deny it, but he is outstanding in the menu. He is cold. He is calculating. He has some incredibly droll and incredible line deliveries. He is hilarious in the menu. I mean, I was just like going through all the GIFs, when we were having a chat on our Discord with some others, and I was just like pulling out all these great menu GIFs and quotes from Rafe, and it's the way he delivers it with his absolute deadpan kind of humor and again stoicism that we saw in Conclave as well. But he's also got that pain as well behind him, that history, of actually really he just wants to make a really good dirty burger, and he's just so magnetic in that film, and just everything that he brings to it is so perfect. And yeah, you can think what you like about the film, but you have to kind of separate his performance, and I think that's why it justifies it being so high, and we were all pretty high on it, right? I think we all had it top 3 or 4. I mean, clearly we must do, because it's here 3 overall, so we must all have had it pretty high.
I take no. I will stand by having it number 3 on my list. I think he's so damn good in this
I had
movie.
it 3 as well.
You did, yeah. And Amanda had it at 4, and I know she just recently saw
her.
it. I have to assume, I don't know if he did, but Mark Mylod, who's a very talented writer who wrote Succession and has his hands in a lot of stuff, I assume he wrote this role for Rafe. It feels like it's written for Rafe because it seems like somebody who understands what makes him good as an actor, and it accentuates it. And I just love The Menu so much. I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times since it came out in 2022. It's the rare movie. And Heather, I know you're this way. I don't show Alicia too many movies. Like my wife, she doesn't like have the passion that I do for film. But I was like, she's going to love The Menu. And so I showed it to her, and she's like, yes, it's a crowd-pleasing movie, yet it also has a lot of stuff underneath too. So
yeah, there's so much dark humor, and he delivers that so well. And, you know, commentary on today's society, and also his kind of like, he's so calm, but he is so, you can feel his rage. Like, it's so obvious how much he hates these awful people, and we hate them too. You know, I'm kind of rooting for him, quite frankly, because they're just awful. You know, I'm rooting for him, and I'm rooting for for
Anya,
Anya's character. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm rooting for her too. The 2 of them, and then the scene with the burger is just so iconic. Anyway, yes,
Amanda. Sorry. I literally haven't had lunch yet. I'm getting hungry right now thinking about this movie. Amanda, what was your Menu experience that you've just recently come off seeing it?
Oh, I loved the whole thing. I think it was just not even like his performance aside, just the way it was set up, and then like you get the shot of the food, and then you get the words of the ingredients. Hilarious. And he, like, Voldemort aside, this feels like him at his most evil. Like, this is the scariest performance of his, and I think that's why I liked it so much, because it's, I don't know, it's scariest. So it's dynamic, even though he's doing everything in that monotone, but it's still so yeah.
Did you eat a cheeseburger after watching the movie?
I did not. I did think about it, but I'll have to rewatch
I'm a vegetarian. It did nothing for me.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I think about that burger like once a week, legitimately.
It did look good.
Yeah,
I mean, if you like that kind of thing, it looked good. I don't. So
okay, come at us. The Menu deserves its place. Performance alone. Okay,
you justify everything.
That's right. I have no apologies. Okay, number 2 on the list. This is my favorite Ralph Fiennes performance, even though I acknowledge it's not his best, which we'll get to. I think, and again, I nominated him on the show for this already. Wes Anderson's 2014 film, The Grand Budapest Hotel, is, gosh, he's so good in this movie. Just the scene alone of him running away from the police officers when there's the static shot, and like Wes Anderson understands the comic timing of Rafe, which we don't always get to see his comedic timing, and the way he delivers dialogue in this film is so spot on. He's got great wit and banter with the other characters. It's such a different performance, kind of like A Bigger Splash, in that it's like it's not the prototypical performance you'd think of from Ralph Fiennes, but it also does have a lot of what makes him great in it. I love Grand Budapest Hotel so much. Amanda, what do you think of Grand Budapest?
I've unfortunately only seen it the one time, and it was fairly recently, but I need to rewatch it because I feel like I'm not getting, I mean, I had this one also at number 2, but I feel like I need to see it again for the full effect.
It does get better every time you go back to it. It really does. Heather, you also had this at number 2. What's your relationship to Grand Budapest?
It's my favorite Wes Anderson, and it's not really close. I don't vibe with a lot of Wes Anderson. It's just a lot of it is too whimsy for me, and it's not my kind of whimsy. I don't have a kind of whimsy because I'm not whimsy.
I was going to ask.
But again, we've talked about this as well, you know, many times. I still appreciate the craft of Wes Anderson films, so it's not that. I mean, they look incredible. That he doesn't sweep production design every time he has a film out is, I don't understand the world. But this is my favorite, and I don't think it's just because Rafe is in it and is great in it. I think it is. I don't know if the word accessible is right. Maybe it is accessible. To me, it was the most accessible. It was the one that I just clicked in with and was on its wavelength from the beginning. And he's, as we've been talking about his range, but again, this is completely different from a lot of other things. This is slapstick comedy, quirky, whimsy comedy a la Wes Anderson, and he fits straight in. Now, if you were to ask me in 2010, do I think Ralph Fiennes fits into Wes Anderson's cinematic universe? I mean, I'd be like, I'm sure he could. I can't see it. But now I'm like, how could I doubted it? How could I have doubted that he would not be perfect for this kind of world? And again, I've said this about a number of actors. You just need to find the right director or to pull out the right part of their skill set. And Rafe has, I mean, he kind of covers it all, really. So, what is there to say? As I say, I would not necessarily have thought he could do it. But why are we doubting this? Man can do everything.
I do appreciate, too, that like Wes obviously has his cast of characters that he always brings back to the table time and time again. But it was so nice to see that Rafe just did the one and done with him. And it just makes that performance all the more interesting because he hasn't done the Bill Murray where he's in like 6 different Wes Anderson movies and always doing little spots here and there. So it's like we got this one fleeting moment of him and Wes syncing up perfectly. And hopefully, like, that will be the only time that they connect. I would be totally cool with that.
And that should have been an Oscar. And I'm sorry, Jake Gyllenhaal. And I'm sorry, I can't even remember who won that year.
Don't come at Nightcrawler.
No, I'm not. He was also really good. So those 2 performances to me were the best that year, and neither of them got nominated.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Now, of all the feedback we got, Grand Budapest Hotel came up the most times just in totality. Again, I just think it's a very crowd-pleasing movie. It's only 12 years old at this point, so it's still kind of fresh in people's mind. And for a lot of people, I think it is definitely Wes Anderson's superior film for the majority. Okay, Amanda, you get to do us the honor of our number 1 Ralph Fiennes performance, which is...
Yes, it is not Made in Manhattan. It is Schindler's List.
So close.
So close. Honestly, it was neck and neck till the very end.
Yeah.
But looking at this and knowing that this was one of his very first roles is absolutely insane to me. It is tremendous. It is haunting. I love Liam Neeson, and I love that film. It was one of my favorite films. It was my number 10 on the CLP list. But Ralph Fiennes is like the best part, in my opinion, of that movie. It is just watching him is exceptional.
Yeah, my only note to you two is I said, is it fair to be this good looking and this despicable as a character?
They try
like
and make him ugly.
I know they try. It doesn't work. No,
but they tried.
Because I still want to root for him because like I fall into his eyes, but he's doing just the worst things on earth.
Get this on record. Andrew is rooting for the Nazis. No.
Oh boy, here we go.
There's your social clip.
Yeah. No telling what AI is going to do when it cranks out the episode. Okay. Yeah, Schindler's List is, it was my number 2, but I think it's his best performance. I just favor Grand Budapest, but it's hard to argue this. Most people think he's won an Oscar for this, quite frankly, which comes up all the time. Heather, why is this the best Ralph performance for you?
I mean, I don't even know where to really start with this. He is what you remember. He is chillingly evil. But there's more to it just than pure evil, right? And it's also, again, it's another role that he just completely disappears into. So I was talking to my husband. We were just wandering to the supermarket earlier, just before we recorded. And I was saying, hey, I'm doing this podcast and we're talking about Ralph Fiennes. And what do you think of? Now, my husband does not remember actors. He does not remember, he's watched a lot of films. He's watched all the Harry Potters, etc. And, and he has watched a lot of films. He just doesn't remember actors' names. So I said to him, Ralph Fiennes, what do you think of? And he says, oh, Harry Potter, Voldemort. And I said, well, that's what I was expecting you to say. And then he says, well, what else would I have seen him in? And I said, well, he's in Schindler's List. And he says, sorry, what? And when he's in Schindler's List, he goes, who does he play in Schindler's List? I said, he plays the main Nazi guy. And he's like, that's the same guy? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, wow, I mean, the evil, sure. Mm-hmm. But the fact that I think and this is often the case with Ralph Fiennes, is that you're watching a film and so back to me putting together my top 10. I was looking through his filmography and I was like, I've seen that film, I don't remember him because he's just kind of there and being good, which is how I kind of put my list together. But this is one where he is the main thing you remember. Really sorry to Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive, who is great. And I've said this, and I'm very happy he's an Oscar, but not in this year.
Stay tuned for more on that soon. I think
this is possibly the best villain performance that I can think of. It's probably one of my top 5 male performances ever on screen. And it's the combination of evil, but there's more to it. There is a depth there. And don't want to have a, prequel with Eamon Goetz' backstory. I don't need this. Nobody needs this. But
Please no.
No, we don't need this. But you can tell there is more to this character than just that. His confusion, where he feels attracted to this Jewish girl and he just hates himself for it. And he hates her for being attractive and making him have these feelings. And so there's never any sympathy for him, of course. But you can see there's complexity there. And there's not just that pure evil there. There's more depth than just, your standard Nazi.
Yeah, so Schindler's List is kind of it's hard to argue with that being number 1. So just a really quick recap, top 10 for you. At 10, English Patient. At 9, A Bigger Splash. At 8, In Bruges. 7's The Constant Gardener. 6 is Conclave. 5 is Red Dragon. 4 is Quiz Show. 3 is The Menu. 2 is The Grand Budapest Hotel. Number 1 is Schindler's List. And just a real quick breakdown of decades. So of those 10 movies, 3 from the 90s, 3 from the 2000s, 2 from the 2010s, 2 already from the 2020s. Again, showing this man has been working for 4 decades and has not dropped his quality a single bit. You could argue he's only continuing to get better with age. He's aging like a fine wine. But, of course, don't come at us with the pitchforks. I know we have not talked about a specific series. Heather, elaborate on what we have left out to this point, please. Let's get to the Voldemort of it all. I know people are coming at us with pitchforks.
Yes. So, so I sounded like a broken record on our group chat. Just because I wanted to justify it all to myself and to make a case either way. So I think I was the only one amongst us who did not have a Harry Potter film in my top 10. And my reasoning for this and for why we are including Voldemort separately. So I would say if you ask the general public, I did the survey on my husband who is standing in for the general public. And the one thing he said was Voldemort. You ask the general public, what is Ralph Fiennes' most, iconic, best role, whatever, best, interpret it how you will. It is the role that he is most well known for. It is one that most people will have seen him in. The franchise has had so successful at the box office. Everybody has seen these films, whether you like them or not, or whatever you think about J.K. Rowling, it doesn't really matter, but everybody has seen this. Everybody knows that he is incredible as Voldemort. He is evil. He is memorable. He has got the there's these amazing scenes, many iconic scenes, whether it's first coming out of the cauldron, whether it's the Order of the Phoenix with the fight with Dumbledore in the Department of Mysteries, etc., etc., etc. You two, I think, both put in Deathly Hallows Part 2.
I think Amanda went Goblet, maybe? I can't even remember.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, but I think if we're weighing up each individual film and weighing up just that film, which is what we decided to do, weighing up just that film and putting the performance against everything else, it's hard to justify putting in just one of those films. So we made an executive decision to group Voldemort, as we totally acknowledge the fact that his is most iconic role. It is the one he is most well known for across the board, all with like normies and everything. But we couldn't just individually select one film to represent that franchise. So that is the reason that we do not have one individual Voldemort performance. It is the reason why we didn't just lump all the Harry Potters together in one, which we could also have done. Mm-hmm. We decided not to do that. We're taking each film by each film. So there we go. We're acknowledging the importance of Voldemort in his filmography, in his career. And he's excellent because, of course, he is. Yes, that is why Voldemort has his own little special place in our hearts, in our rankings.
And it allowed us to cheat and get 11 spots, is basically it. And, you know, I might be wearing...
But then you have to start talking about James Bond, you know, so... also great as M, but it's just not as good as Judi Dench. So sorry, Rafe, you're second place to somebody there for a change, because she is... She's the best M.
Heather got the Voldemort opportunity to talk because I don't know where Amanda's Harry Potter fandom lies, but it's certainly mine. As my wife told me earlier this morning, I'm a poser for wearing this scarf because I have only watched them by force, not by choice. So, yeah. Amanda, are you a Harry Potter person at heart?
Yeah, as a person in their 20s, I feel like I grew up with the movies, and the books were a little too early for me by a hair, but like, so that was basically the performance I knew him for probably an additional 15 years. So my most memorable, definitely.
Yeah, it deserves its own placement outside of the top 10, I think. But yeah. Now the three of us, we want to hear from you. So why don't you go ahead and DM me on the social media platforms, Rev Almanac. Let me know what you think of our list. Let us know what your top 10 list is. I would love to get that feedback. And from the three of us, Amanda, Heather, myself, we are the Revisionist Almanac team, and we will see you next time.